All right, 36, more factoring to solve. So again, everything on one side, x squared plus 11x plus 24 equals 0. Two factors of positive 24 that add up to 11 plus 3 plus 8. So x plus 3 equals 0. X plus 8 equals 0, so x equals a negative 3 and a negative 8. 37, b squared minus 4b equals 0. Greatest common factor. This one's almost tricky in its simplicity. So what's tricky here, we have to make sure we set that b equal to 0. A lot of students forget that, and b minus 4 equals 0. So b equals 4, and don't forget the b equals 0. All right, solving by completing the square. This is not fun, but it's got to be done. First thing we do is bring the constant over to the other side. So we have n squared plus 18n, leave a space, equals a 44. To complete the square, we add something here, we add something here. What we're going to add there is half of that middle term, so 9, and we square it. I know 9 squared is 81, but I like to keep it like that for here because that becomes n plus just 9 squared. And that will always be the same as that sign. So that was an n squared minus 18n, it would be n minus 9 squared. 44 plus 81 is 125. Now we take the square root of both sides. When we do this, we have to be careful that we include that plus or minus 125. That's where we get both of our answers from. Okay, so we're going to simplify that square root if we can. In this case, 125 is 25 times 5, so I can break out a 5. 5 squared of 5, and one more step, I'm going to subtract the 9 to the other side. Negative 9 plus or minus 5 squared root of 5. Ugly, but correct. 39, same thing. I'm going to start by subtracting that 36 to the other side. X squared minus 16x, leave a space, equals a negative 39. I'm going to add something there, add half of it, squared. So again, this becomes x minus 8 squared. Negative 39 plus 64 is a 25, which is a nice perfect square. So we take the square root. X minus 8 equals square root of 25. Don't forget the plus or minus. Square root of 25 is 5. Add the 8. X equals 8 plus or minus 5. Now we can actually get two answers. So make sure you get the answers correctly. Do not put plus or minus 13. That's not what this is. 8 plus 5 is a positive 13, and 8 minus 5 is a positive 3. All right, quadratic formula. Quadratic formula, x equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. In order to do this, unlike completing the square, in order to do this, we have to get one side equaling 0. So we have to get everything under one side. So 8k squared plus 3k minus 1 equals 0. So I know our a is 8, our b is 3, and our c is negative 1. So k equals, that was what we'll put there for notation purposes. It's always a variable. Negative b, negative 3, plus or minus square root of 3 squared minus 4 times 8 times negative 1, all over 2 times 8. That equals negative 3 plus or minus square root of 9 plus 32 over 16, which equals negative 3 plus or minus square root of 41 all over 16. Last thing we do is see if we can take the square root or simplify the square root of 41. We can't, so we are done. 41, same thing as before. I'm going to bring everything on one side, making sure there is a 0 on one side. So a is 3, b is 1, c is negative 6. Plug it into the formula. K equals negative 1 plus or minus square root of 1 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 6 all over 2 times 3. Negative 1 plus or minus square root of 1 plus 72, right? Negative 4 times 3 times negative 6. Negative is a positive. All over 6. That's a negative 1 plus or minus square root of 73 all over 6.